Chapter 27. Jiao Pa was a man of action. After he decided to ask for Celestine's help, he called Celestine after lunch. It was not working at this time, so it was convenient to find someone. Because of Jing Tan, Jiao Pa would sometimes talk to Celestine. They didn't talk much, and it mostly revolved around Jing Tan. Other than Jing Tan, they seemed to talk about other things. Jing Tan didn't know much about it, but he knew that it was about Celestine's future work. Celestine's little smart had changed to a phone, so Jing Tan didn't have to hear Celestine say, "Hey F***ck," every time he picked up the phone. As expected, Celestine agreed to come over at night to look after the two children. He didn't have much time during the day, but he was still free at night. The two children stayed at the hospital until 2 in the afternoon. Aunt Ling came over. She made soup today and sent some over. Jiao Pa just had to find a microwave to heat it up. At the same time, Aunt Ling said that she wanted to take the two children home for dinner, so they didn't have to eat the hospital's packed lunches. Jiao Pa and Jiao Ma definitely agreed, so they didn't reject Aunt Ling's good intentions. However, after Jing Tan followed them back to school, he separated from Jiao Yuan and the others. He didn't want to go to Aunt Ling's house. Aunt Ling had a small child at home. It was her relative's child. Last time, Jing Tan saw that rotten child grab Huang's tail. It was still the same saying. Ignorant little brats were the public enemy of all pets. Jing Tan would rather eat biscuits than go to Aunt Ling's house and get his tail grabbed by a child. He wasn't sure if he would stretch out his claws when his tail was grabbed. Standing in front of the door of the Dongfang family's compound, Jing Tan thought for a while. Since he had nothing to do, he might as well go to Celestine's place to take a look. When the time came, he would come over with Celestine. Jing Tan was still thinking about how to tell Celestine about it. The house Celestine rented was converted from a private house into an apartment. It was rented to students and office workers who had just entered society and did not have much economic foundation. The management of the surrounding area was relatively chaotic. Even if something was lost, it would be in vain. It was useless to look for the police. There were so many such cases that they could not find the reason even if they investigated. The good thing was that the rent in this area was cheap, so there were always many people renting. Jing Tan did not often come to the house rented by Celestine. There were too many people and it was troublesome. There would always be people who would find ropes and dolls to tease Jing Tan when they saw Jing Tan. These people did not know that Jing Tan was also looking at them as if he was looking at an idiot. When Jing Tan arrived at the residential area, it was already past 3 o'clock in the afternoon. At this time, there were not many people coming in and out of the area. Some were going to work, some were going to school, and some were taking an afternoon nap. There were also many stray cats here. The landlord had his own cat. Cats were very common here, so no one would pay attention to a black cat that entered the building. Jing Tan had just entered the floor where Celestine lived when he heard a bang sound. Jing Tan, who was about to enter the corridor, stopped and hid at the corner of the stairs to take a look. A young man was lying on the ground, holding his stomach and groaning in pain. Celestine held a freshly peeled apple in one hand and a fruit knife in the other. He slowly walked out, then squatted down in front of the man and used the fruit knife, which was still sticky with apple juice, to pat the man's face. "I just bought you a new phone and you're already thinking about it. You've got guts. You came to steal my phone when I was taking an afternoon nap. Do you think I'm easy to bully or stupid?" Celestine's tone was completely rogue. When the man wanted to get up, he was stopped by Celestine's knife on his neck. The man still wanted to say something, but Celestine pressed the knife down. "I don't want to listen to your bullshit," Celestine said as he threw the finished apple down the stairs. Jing Tan, although the management of the area was a bit messy, there was no need to throw trash everywhere. Jing Tan remembered that last week, Jiao Ma deducted a yuan of pocket money from the Jiao Yuan for throwing used cellophane tape everywhere. But the next moment, Jing Tan's ears twitched. It didn't seem to be the sound of an apple hitting the ground. The ground below was cement, so it shouldn't have been that kind of sound. Although confused, Jing Tan didn't immediately run to the railing to take a look. At this time, he mainly paid attention to Celestine. When he looked again, Celestine's hand holding the knife was still the same, but his other hand had already started to dig into the man's pocket. Not long after, Celestine took out a wallet. There was no ID inside, but there was 1,000 yuan. With a look of disdain, Wei Ling took out $1,000 and put it in his pocket. Then he returned the wallet. In addition to the wallet, there were also some small lock-picking tools. Celestine's expression of disgust deepened, but he still put them next to his feet. Then Celestine took out a small white plastic bottle and twisted open the cap. There was medicine inside, but there was also cotton inside. Jing Tan heard from the Jiaopa that if the medicine was newly bought and there was cotton in the bottle, the cotton should be thrown away as soon as possible after the bottle was opened. The cotton placed in the medicine bottle when it was manufactured could prevent the pills in the bottle from colliding with each other during transportation. It also had the effect of absorbing moisture in the air to prevent the medicine from getting damp. However, if the cotton was not thrown away after the bottle was opened, the cotton would continue to absorb moisture, which would easily cause the medicine to go bad. Jing Tan wasn't sure if the man who was kicked on the ground knew that he should throw away the cotton to prevent the pills from going bad. However, Jing Tan felt that the reason why the man put the cotton in the bottle was to prevent the pills from colliding with the bottle due to his body movements during the theft. Looking at the cotton that Celestine took out, if the cotton was originally in the bottle, it was too much. Looking at the half-torn label on the medicine bottle, it was obvious that the medicine had been bought for a while. Moreover, not all medicine needed cotton, so Jing Tan was more convinced of his guess. Celestine looked at the medicine in the bottle and patted the man with the knife. It seems that you have used it many times. You have gained a lot, haven't you? I don't understand, what are you talking about? The man explained with some difficulty. That is my own motion sickness medicine. Do you think my brain is full of leaks? Celestine stood up and kicked the man again. The man on the ground continued to curl up like a shrimp. Celestine had already noticed Jing Tan, so he didn't continue to argue with the man on the ground. He poured out 3 pills and forced them to the man. You are welcome to come again next time. Remember to bring more money when you come. This amount of money is not enough. The man who was fed the medicine didn't care about the pain from the kick. He got up and rushed out, not noticing Jing Tan, who was standing next to the stairs. Of course, the stairs were dark and Jing Tan was also dark, so it was normal that he didn't notice. In fact, Celestine was also a person with bad morals. This was Jing Tan's understanding since he met Celestine. Celestine could have sent the thief to the police station or directly called the police. But Celestine was a person who did things based on his mood. This time he probably didn't bother with the thief because it was too much of a waste of his time. This time the thief was lucky. When Jing Tan entered the room, Celestine was sitting on the edge of the bed, putting the 1,000 yuan that he had just extorted into his wallet. The white plastic bottle was on the bedside table, and next to the medicine bottle was a glass of orange juice. Seeing Jing Tan looking at the bottle, Celestine waved his hand, and Jing Tan jumped to the chair next to him. Celestine felt that he was still too far away, so he dragged the chair to the bedside table. Jing Tan squatted on the chair and let him drag the chair. He was too lazy to jump down. Did you see it just now? Without looking at Jing Tan's reaction, Celestine pointed at the white bottle and continued, "This thing is indeed a motion sickness medicine, but that guy also used it to commit crimes." Celestine pointed at the remaining label on the bottle, which said, 1 pill at a time. There was only a little bit of the medicine's name on it, and Jing Tan didn't know what it was. Most motion sickness medicine will make you feel sleepy after taking it, but if you take too much, you will have adverse reactions such as drowsiness, headaches, and disorientation. You may even have hallucinations, mental disorders, and other mental symptoms. Nowadays people are smart. If you buy sleeping pills, the pharmacy will pay special attention to you, but there are many people who buy motion sickness medicine, so no one will pay extra attention to you. If you buy motion sickness medicine, even if you are caught, you can deny that you've drugged yourself. Sometimes motion sickness medicine can also be a big killer. After a pause, Celestine got up and poured the glass of orange juice away. This was where the pills were. You should be more careful in the future. Be careful with things given to you by strangers. Celestine also told Jing Tan about the drugs that he should pay attention to, or some words that he should pay attention to, such as barbiturates and hyoscyamine. Drugs can save people, but they can also kill people. If a person overdosed on drugs, there would be problems, let alone a cat. Celestine casually bought some food and left with Jing Tan. When they went downstairs, Jing Tan paid special attention. The apple core that Celestine threw away was in a plastic trash can. Coincidence? Or was Celestine's aim good to begin with? Celestine bought a new motorcycle. When he wasn't using it, he parked it in the garage of his family's compound. After all, the place where he lived was too chaotic, so it was safer to park it in the compound. The guard uncle knew Celestine, so he could help keep an eye on it. Not long after Jing Tan and Celestine returned to the Jiao family, Jiao Yuan and Gu Yuzi came back. Auntie Ling had sent them over. When Auntie Ling greeted Celestine, Chu Xiangyang opened the door and the three of them started chatting. Auntie Ling had seen Celestine once before, so she had some impression of him. However, this was Chu Xiangyang's first time seeing Celestine. "With you here we don't have to worry," Chu Xiangyang said. "Xiao Chu, your door was scratched by a cat's claws, right?" Auntie Ling asked. "Of course. I don't even know when it was scratched. Is black charcoal venting his anger on my door? Those scratches are really deep. I didn't expect black charcoal's claws to be so sharp." Chu Xiangyang sighed. "Of course. If a worker wants to do a good job, he must first sharpen his claws. As a cat, you must have the awareness of being a cat. If your claws aren't sharp, how can you do things?" After saying that, Celestine turned his head and looked at Jing Tan, who was lying on the sofa. "Am I right?" Jing Tan pulled his ears and ignored them. "You'll change the door when the time comes? Buy a steel one next time." Auntie Ling joked. "I won't change the door. With a cat's claw mark, those rats won't dare to come, right? I'll just put it here to scare the rats." At night, Celestine boiled the bathwater. After the two children finished bathing and lay on the bed, he went to the Jiaopa's desk and sat down. He looked through the documents he brought over and used the Jiaopa's computer to do some research. These were all approved by the Jiaopa, so the Jiao Yuan and the rest didn't say anything. However, Celestine closed the door, so Jing Tan didn't know what he was looking at.